excuse me, Chapter 3, Section 1, quadratic functions. What's a quadratic function? What shape does it make? A U. Good, it's a parabola. And then we know that the highest exponent in a quadratic function is what? 2x squared. Okay, good. Good, good, good. So here is, we're going to call this standard form. All right, we're going to call this standard form. Some books call things differently. We're going to call this standard form. If you have standard form and you are going to factor that or use the quadratic formula, the number in front of x squared is a, the number in front of x is b, and the constant is your c, right? So let's talk about the pieces of a parabola. The shape of a parabola is a U, all right? The absolute bottom, or if it's an upside down parabola, the absolute top is called your vertex. That's your vertex. It's the lowest point or the highest point. If your parabola is positive and it's facing up, then you're going to have a minimum value where it doesn't get any lower. If your parabola is negative and it's facing downward, then you're going to have a maximum value where it doesn't get any higher, right? So just so you can visualize that. When we talk about the vertex, it's an x and a y. So the x part of your vertex is called the h. The y part is called the k. You'll see why that's important later on. And then we have something called the axis of symmetry. What does the word symmetry mean? If something is symmetrical, it's the same where? On both sides, right? So the axis of symmetry is going to be a vertical line that cuts your parabola in half. It makes the left-hand side the exact same as the right-hand side. It's the line that cuts the parabola in half. So if you're asked to graph an equation, and again, we'll call this standard form, you have to have a few things. You have to have the vertex. You need to know where the absolute bottom and the absolute top is. You also need to have intercepts if you can find them. So we're going to first figure out how to find the vertex. And there's this little tiny formula right here that you guys are going to use a bunch of times. It says x equals negative b over 2a. You're going to find what the x value is, and then you're going to plug it back in to find the y. Then we're going to plot the y-intercept. I'll show you where that is in your equation. And then to find additional points, you find the x-intercepts. This we're going to call vertex form. This is in vertex form because you can clearly pick out the vertex, the h, and the k. All right, hold on one second. Standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And then you have vertex form, which is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. We're going to do two different problems. One in vertex form, one in standard form, so you can see the difference. That's all I want to get through today, is just so you can see the difference. And then we're going to practice this a whole bunch more on Monday and Tuesday. When you are in standard form, you can't just look at this and figure out what the h and k is. You can when it's like this, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. But when you're in standard form like this, that's when we have to use our little negative b over 2a. Once I put this into practice here in a second with some examples, I think it'll be a little clearer. So, can I go to the next slide? Okay, look at this problem. Is this in what's called vertex form, or is this in standard form? Remember, that's what it looks like. Our standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And then my vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Which one is this in? Vertex form. Right here, guys, they're telling you where the vertex is. It's here and here. This is the h, or the x part. This is the k. Now, what is tricky about this? It's nice. Once you guys get the hang of this, you like it when it's in vertex form because it's real easy. But the thing that is tricky is look at this sign that's right here. What is that sign? Negative. All right. Since the sign inside of the parentheses is negative, what does that mean? That's not that the parabola is negative. It's good thinking, though. But what happens when we talk about stuff on the inside with the parabola? Is it exactly what we think, or it's what? The opposite. So when you write the vertex here, do you think the x part of the vertex is positive 2? No, it's what? Negative 2. You have to change the sign of what you pull out there because that negative. That's why, guys, when we were talking about transformations, and you're like, I don't understand why it's the opposite of what you think. Because in the standard form of the equations, the negative is in the standard form, which means the opposite when you pull it out. So you're always going to change the sign of the x. So if you had something like y equals 2 times x minus 4 squared minus 3. When you pull that 4 out, what does the 4 become? Positive. Good. Now, with our transformations, guys, if it was a vertical up and down, was it the opposite of what we thought, or was it just what you thought? Just what you thought. So you're going to change the sign of the x and keep the y. So your vertex is at negative 2, comma what? Negative 3. Perfect. And we'll practice this a bunch, I promise. Now, this is the x part, this is the y part. Your axis of symmetry, it's that vertical line that cuts your parabola in half. If I were to draw a vertical line here, or a vertical line here, vertical line here, what axis does that go through? The x. Your axis of symmetry is always going to be an x equals. It's always going to be whatever that is. So it's x equals negative 2. Does that make sense? Always. And then to find intercepts, all right, we just have to do a little math here. How do you find intercepts? How do you find an x or y intercept? You plug in what? To any equation. 0, right? So if I wanted to find the x-intercept, right, here's my equation. Y equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. If I want to find the x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y. If I want to find the y-intercept, I plug in 0 for what? X. All right, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and find the y-intercept. Y equals, I'm just going to plug in 0 plus 2 squared minus 3. We just have to do the math. Where do we start? Parentheses. What is 0 plus 2? 2. So I have 2 squared minus 3. What is 2 squared? 4. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So your y-intercept is at 1. So it would be at 0. When I plugged in 0 for x, I got out 1 for y. That's how you find an additional point. So we're going to do the exact same thing, but flip it. Instead of plugging in 0 for x, we're going to plug in 0 for what? Y. So I have 0 equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. Now, everybody, we can do this. I want to eventually get x by itself. So what's the first thing I have to undo here? What do I move to the other side? I'm going to add 3. Great. Add 3. So I have 3 equals x plus 2 squared. Now what? How do I undo that squared? Take the square root. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. What happens when I take the square root of both sides? What goes in front of my square root? Plus or minus. Great. So I have plus or minus the square root of 3 equals x plus 2. And then the last thing. I'm going to minus 2. So you have x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. That is not a beautiful number to have to put on a graph. I'm not going to have you guys do that right now. I'll talk to Mr. Saldana and see how we're going to approximate how he wants you guys to do it. But understanding how to solve, we've already solved these equations. This is from chapter 1. So your x-intercepts are negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 3, comma, 0. When you plugged in 0 for y, that's what you got out for x. So if you're going to make a little picture of this, if we put our vertex at negative 2, negative 3, we're right there. Our y-intercept is at 0, 1. So what direction is my parabola facing? It's going to be going up. And then we're going to approximate negative 2 plus the square root of 3. What's the square root of 3 close to? Square root of 4? Kind of. So negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So it's a little less than 0. Negative 2 minus 2 could be here around 4, and then you just draw your picture. And again, I'm not super concerned with where on the x-axis your negative 2 plus or minus square root of 3 is. I just want you to understand how to do. Finding the intercepts, when you're in this kind of form, finding the vertex is really easy, just look at it. But finding the intercepts can be a little harder. When you're in standard form, it's kind of the opposite. You do something like this one. What kind of form is this one in? This is in standard form. Can you just look at this and go, oh, I see the h and the k, what I can pull out of a parenthesis and what's at the end? It doesn't work like that. What you can do, though, is use that little tiny formula. That little formula we looked at was x equals negative b over 2a. When I'm looking at x squared minus 16 minus 14, what is the a value here? No, what's the number in front? 1. What is the b value? Negative 6. Good. And what is the c value? Negative 14. So we're going to use this little formula right here. And we're going to plug in those numbers and figure out what the x part is. Then once we find that, we're going to plug it back in and figure out what y is. So I have x equals negative 6 all over 2 times a, which is what? 1. Perfect. What happens when you have a negative negative? Positive 6 over 2 gives me 3. So the x part of my vertex is 3. F of x is the fancy way of saying y, right? So if we know that x is 3, where could we plug 3 in to find out what y equals? Do we have an equation that says y equals something? We don't. We don't have an equation that says y equals x squared minus 6x minus 14. Do we have a value that we could plug in for x? Yeah, 3. So I'm going to say, okay, well, let's plug it in here. 3 squared minus 6 times 3 minus 14. What is 3 squared? 9 minus, what's 6 times 3? 6 times 3, guys. 18, good. And then minus 14. So what's 9 minus 18? Negative 9 minus 14. Add those two numbers together and it stays negative. So y equals negative what? What's 14 plus 9? 23, okay. So that's the y part of your vertex, negative 23. Is that going to fit on our graph? No. But if you were to say, okay, all right, let's find the axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry? You can look right at your vertex and say what the axis of symmetry is. X equals 3. Perfect. Another trick for the intercepts. All right, remember we plug in 0. So if I plug in 0 here for x, and I plug in 0 here for x, what's your y-intercept? Negative 14. Anytime you're in standard form, whatever the constant is, that's just the y-intercept. You can just look at it. So your y-intercept, when I plugged in 0, I got out negative 14. And then to find the x-intercepts, you have to solve. You have to set your equation equal to 0 and solve. We've done this since like the 3rd week of school. Can I solve that equation? It's an x squared. When we try to solve, what's the first thing you try to do? Factor. Good. Are there factors of 14? That'll multiply to give me 14, but add to give me negative 6. 1 and 14, 2 and 7? No? Okay, so that's super annoying. So what do we have to use? There's 2 things we can do. Quadratic formula or completing the square. I don't think a lot of you love completing the square, so let's just do the quadratic formula. What's my a term here? 1. Good. What's my b term? Perfect. And what's my c term? Negative 14. So let's throw this in and then we're done. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So I have negative 6 plus or minus negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 14 all over 2 times 1. Did I write everything down correctly? All right, I know it's Friday afternoon, guys. I feel it. All right, negative 6 gives me positive 6 plus or minus. What is negative 6 squared? 36. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 14. That's going to give me plus, what's 14 times 4? 56, okay. All over 2. So keep simplifying. 6 plus or minus, what's 36 plus 56? 36 and 56, 2, carry the what, 92? Yeah? And then we're going to keep going. This is going back to all the stuff we did. We have to see if there's a perfect square hidden in there. Let's go with 92 divided by 2. How many times is 2 going to 9? 4 with 1 left over. So 2 goes into 12 6 times. How many times is 2 go to 46? 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Does anything go into 23? No? So this is the pair that I can take out. So I have 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 23 over 2. And the absolute last thing we have to do, and then I will stop, is simplify this. I have 6 over 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 23 over 2. Can I simplify a little bit there? Yeah, 6 divided by 2 is 3 plus or minus 2 divided by 2 just goes away. So square root of 23. So there's where your intercepts would be. They'd be at 3 plus the square root of 23 and 3 minus the square root of 23. You could write comma 0. All right, I just wanted you guys to see. I know it's the end of the first week. I know that was a ton of information. 3.1 is a really big section, so we have to practice this a whole bunch. It's a lot of stuff that we've done before. We're just recalling that information, so we need to make sure that we can remember it. You guys all right? Okay.